Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It is the match preview, Wolves versus Everton. I'm joined by Jack to discuss our last away game, penultimate game of the season, and it's huge, Jack. This
Big,
one is
isn't it?
absolutely huge.
We can go safe if we win at the weekend and results go our way. It's massive, and it's not all riding on this because, you know, we could get a bad result here and still be out the bottom three, but it's a massive opportunity. It's one we can't really afford to miss because there'll be no guarantees on the last day of the season. And how good would it be if we could just have Bournemouth at home is just dead rubber, nothing to worry about, no stress on the last day. It could all be over Saturday.
Yeah. It was lovely last year having nothing on the last day to play for, and it being away at Arsenal and having absolutely nothing and chilling out and just watching the other results and all the other. I don't really want to go to Goodison, and I think we will have to do it because I just can't imagine everything will fall our way, but it would be lovely. But just on this, something you just said there, do you think Saturday Everton do have to almost put everything on this game with only 2 games left? Because you can look at it and say it's a 2-game season, 2 cup finals, blah, blah, blah. But do you think that Everton have got to look at this and go, well, number one, yes, like you just said, we could be safe if all the fixtures went with us over the 3 days. But the other thing is, it's like if you want to get to that last day in great shape, then we've got to get something out of this. We've got to be looking to put absolutely every ounce of fight and ability into winning this game of football.
I think we have to, yeah. I think we have to treat this as must win because if we get beat, we could find ourselves heading into the last day in the bottom 3, which means even a win might not keep us up. It could be out of our hands then. And I just think we've got to treat this as must win. We've just got to keep ourselves as the ones in control, keep it in our hands, because then we only have to match of the results on the last day potentially, even if we aren't safe. It's still in our hands then. We could be in a position where, you know, we could get beat by Wolves and then we could absolutely thump Bournemouth on the last day and still go down. I think we have to treat this as must win, even if it's not all solely riding on this game. We can just change the dynamics of the relegation fight so much to the point where we could potentially end it. But we can just put ourselves in like just such a much more comfortable position.
Yeah, and with a win as well, if Everton could get a win, being the first game of the weekend, I think, you know, everyone else plays afterwards, I think it would give us that mental advantage over those teams as well. Those teams knowing that they've got to chase us and they've got to get a result. You know, it's not nice knowing what you've got to do. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, sometimes it can help. It can be a big motivation. But if Everton could get a win and then go above Forest, and obviously knowing then that if Leicester didn't beat Newcastle, that they couldn't catch us. So then it would be just that one place, and then, you know, you're looking at the Leeds going to West Ham, and obviously Forest play Arsenal, I think, at R5 on the Saturday, and Arsenal must win that game, otherwise Manchester City are champions. Then that's the kind of motivation again. It's again, you're always focused on your own game, but to me on this, I think Everton have to put everything into this game and look at it as in, this is that opportunity. This is that opportunity for us to get out of it, control our own destiny, like you said there. And you know, before we talk about Wolves and their form, our away form recently has been good. You know, under Dyche, been scoring goals, creating chances, playing on the counter attack. And I know we've only actually won one of the games, but we've been scoring goals as well. Goodison Park, we always look like it's a chore to score goals, but away from home, the way we break, and you only have to go back to the last away game against Brighton, the way we break, it seems to, you know, help this Everton, this version of an Everton team look their best.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if they're playing with less pressure away from home. I don't know if the results at Goodison have left bad memories there maybe for some of the players and they sort of struggle with the expectation of that now. But our away form, like, we have only won one in the last few away. But it's better than what we're doing at Goodison, isn't it? So it's still an improvement. And like you say, we look better attacking, just more natural going forwards. Looks like they don't have to think about it as much. I think the pressure of playing at Goodison's getting to a lot of them, and that's why we're maybe seeing the away form be a bit better. I don't think it's because we prefer being away as such. I think it's because they prefer not being at Goodison.
I mean, I don't. You can never tell as a fan. You can never tell what a player's feeling or the pressure. I just think we look really stiff at home. We look like it's all just like no little straight lines and normal, trying to get the ball off the back and then get it wide and then get it into the box. But where when we play away and we're sitting back and we're soaking it up at times, we've got that counter-attacking ability, and of course, the way games against like the likes of Leicester, we saw mistakes from Michael Keane and Forest. We didn't defend really well, and Chelsea, we were doing well to a point, and then they scored, and then we woke up a little bit, and then we looked a little bit freer. But the fact that we've had 3-2 draws, we've gone and scored 5 at Brighton. Goal scoring's been a lot easier to come by than it has at Goodison with the the 1-0 wins or a goal here, a goal there. Still, it's only one game, isn't that we've scored more than one goal in, which is obviously the Crystal Palace game. So we haven't found that freedom, but we seem to have that. It suits our players, whereas playing their own just doesn't seem to suit teams who obviously they're away from home. They sit back a little bit. Even City didn't even come out because they didn't really have to come out on Sunday. But having the Dwight McNeils, the Iwobis, the Corey, Dominic Calvert-Lewin if he's fit, then breaking forward
with a bit of physical ability.
Yeah, having that solid base behind them. It just seems to have helped us recently, and I think that could be really positive for this game.
Well, definitely, and I've just spoken about the mental side of not being able to perform at Goodison. If you look at the tactical perspective now, at home there's more emphasis on us to bring the ball out the back and to break teams down, and for us to take the game to them, because that's traditionally how home games go. That you back the home team, don't you? And on our away grounds, we don't have that as much. With the other team wants to attack us, they're looking to break us down, and then that suits us. Because what we are really, we're a counter-attacking team. That's where we have our best success, because we don't have players with masses of technical ability. I think now we've got some players with a bit of pace. Damari Gray, Decore makes good runs into the box. Calvert-Lewin has good centre-forward play, and that's helped us as a counter-attacking team, so he can bring the ball down, keep the ball, and search out for an option. And against Wolves, we have seen them struggle against counter-attacks in terms of committing too many men up the pitch, and that could suit us. It just it depends on how aware of that they are, and if they want to almost let us have the ball and force them to break them down.
Yeah, it's Wolves just on Everton's form, by the way. I think Everton have only picked up actually 4 more points at home than they have away. So we bemoan our away form, but it's only 4 points. And I know we've lost 10 at home, but you think about it, the wins that we've picked up at home and the lack of wins away for only 4 points. It does show, I think, how the away form has picked up more recently, even if we haven't been winning the games. But Wolves are a very interesting side, because obviously they've massively picked up since then. They brought a new manager in around the time that we probably should have sacked Frank Lampard. Obviously the first game back was at Goodison. They beat us obviously with the late goal, and that's where everything's changed for them. And they are a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde side. Their away form is awful as well, but they've really nailed down their home form. They've won 5 of the last 6. And in between that, they've gone to Brighton and been beaten 6-0. They've gone to Old Trafford and been beaten 2-0. They've been beaten away at Leicester. So it really is a Jekyll and Hyde situation with their home form. And last time out beating Villa, we were on a great run. Crystal Palace, I think they ended their really good run under Hodgson when he came in. And they've beaten the likes of Chelsea and Brentford recently at home. And Villa, as I said. So this isn't going to be an easy game by any means. It's their last game of the season. We know they've got nothing to play for. They're out of it now, but they've had a brilliant change from where they were. They were bottom of the league when we played them, and it really does show the power of what could have been if Everton had decided to make that change, around the time of the World Cup.
Well, definitely, because Lopetegui had the chance to come in and work with them on the training pitch for a few weeks, and to see where the players are and work out what kind of style he wants to take them with. And what they have done is they came up with a style that suits them, not only at home, but suits their style of player as well. Because they do have players with a lot of technical ability on the ball. You had Ruben Neves, you had Matheus Nunes as well. Players with technical ability. They don't have an out-and-out goal scorer there, top goal scorer is Neves with 6. I think
yeah.
Podence has
6
6
as well, yeah.
but he's been out the
And then
team
Kuna
recently.
with 2. We were linked with massively around January.
But then that suits them being at home because they just have more of the ball, you know, like enjoy the ball, can try and break teams down more. That doesn't work as much away from home because you get less time on the ball, games moving a bit faster, the other team's trying to come out. So that's why they are struggling on the road. But they've just committed to good home form, a style that'll work at home but not away, and let's just get 4 wins at home. That's 12 points. That'll take us where we need to be. And that's work for them, and they're safe now. And although they are on paper probably a better side than us, definitely more ability in their side. I'd say, they are missing players in key positions. I think what they do for a striker like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if they could guarantee his fitness. But at the same time, you do have nothing to play for. So that makes it interesting because that can go one or two ways. You know, we see Palace when they have nothing to play for on the last day of the season, they always turn around and smash someone. Other teams have seen Wolves have some shaky results in recent weeks after they've guaranteed their safety. So it is an interesting one and that can go two ways, but I do think the benefit we have from that is we have a need to get something from this game. We have something to play for. You know, we have a very big stake in this that they don't. And, you know, if we can make the game hard for them, be hard to break down, outrun them, outwork them, that's where we can get that benefit.
I was just looking at some of their numbers, and I don't think they're a team who loves having loads of the ball. And that used to be the trait of the Wolves side. They're so comfortable in possession. They had so many good footballers. But I think it's actually allowing them to have more of the ball, which could suit us loads, because as we've seen from the Brighton game, you know, I was looking back at the Leeds game where they got beat 4-2. You know, I think they had 66% of the possession in that game, whereas a lot of the games more recently they've been having in
winning it with less
mid-30s to late 30s possession. They're obviously they're not a team. They've got characteristics of their own where they've being dogged, being hard to beat. They haven't been conceding a lot of goals. I don't think they've conceded in the last 4 at home. So I think the trick for this game is to let them have a lot of possession and then try and play on the counter-attack rather than go... Maybe they're like some of the results more recently where they've been getting wins at home. They've been up against teams who want to dominate the ball, and that's been to their advantage. But I think for us, we obviously don't want to do that because it's like our kryptonite having the ball. the less of it we have of it, the better we seem to be, you know. And obviously scoring 5 away, Brighton, I think we were in the mid-20s for possession that day. And obviously we see
completely controlled.
And we saw when they went to Brighton, you know, getting destroyed 6-0, and they really were on the beach that day. And it is only, you know, I think Gary O'Neill said it last week when Bournemouth went to Palace, and he said you only have to be 3 or 4% off. And if you haven't that's everyone, by the way, in the week, if you haven't worked extensively on what the opposition are good at, you know, if you've had a bit of a quieter week, if it's just business as normal, or it's just our last home game, we're safe, we're on 40 points. It can be all that, not preparing for any advantages that the opposition have, whether it's the set pieces or how they play in the counter, be any of those little things sometimes. So Everton have got to grasp this game, and have got to basically, for me, try and do what they did at Brighton, which is, because I look at Wolves and I look at the situation with the goal scoring, and the goal scoring was the big issue. Pre the new manager, it was the big issue, and not that he's getting a lot of goals now, but they're a little bit more. They've sorted the back line out, and also I don't know whether you can make these decisions and stuff, but I've seen Everton managers sort of do this in the past where it's like everything's on the home form. The away form, if it happens, it happens. But like you said before, if we can get 4-5 wins at home, we'll be safe. And that's where Everton have gone massively wrong in the last couple of years. It's like
there's too much on Goodison.
Yeah, well, there's like a wishy-washy style of play that doesn't suit anything. Whereas Wolves look like they've gone, we're putting everything into winning at home. You're not coming here. Wherever I haven't done that, I mean, 10 home defeats this season at home. I've never known the likes of it. Like, I remember on the Martinez, it was 8, and honestly, you looked at it going, this should never happen.
That was criminal.
Yeah, that was it. Well, 8, I mean, obviously. But, like, we were used to maybe losing a couple at home, and if we did lose a couple at home, they were to top sides, or you might get one where you've dominated, and obviously the opposition come in and grab grab one and win the game for all. But I've never seen the likes of it, and it's become this thing of, oh, we've lost another game. So at home, which Wolves have obviously gone, this isn't happening, and that does make Saturday afternoon difficult. But as we just said, if they're off just a little bit and we're on it, then Everton have got that opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And just in terms of what I was saying about Wolves on the balls, I didn't know the possession statistics, but having watched them and that, I do think under Lopetegui they have taken a step up in what they do with the ball.
Yeah.
I think they look a lot sharper on the ball now.
Yeah.
But if we can force them to try and break us down and sort of set them up to fail, force them to give the ball away by trying to break us down, that is where we have the advantage over them. And obviously you don't want to... It's still a risky game because the likes of Ruben Neves can play a brilliant pass in behind the defence, and that takes sharpness and it takes focus, and it'll probably take Pickford being on it as well, because they will get chances.
Yeah, but it's risk and reward, isn't it? And again, we saw that in the Brighton game. You've got to be willing to give up so much of the pitch for your plan to come off. And I think that's why against Man City, when we were playing at home, it did. Well, obviously we were playing against Man City, but it didn't work because they were in control all over the pitch, and there was very few opportunities for us to get in possession and then work it. They never overextended themselves because they didn't have to, whereas Brighton did, and we lured them into some traps where we didn't press. We sat off, and then we'd make maybe one play, make a forward movement and make them give us the ball, and then we were away, and it was like 3, 4, 5 all at once, just going and saying, well, come and catch us then. And I think that it has to be a similar thing. You've got to have that risk. You've got to be willing to say, no, we want you to come and attack because we are going to deal with it, and then we're going to break. It's when it becomes like a halfway thing, when it's like, we'll have a little go at you, we'll come out a little bit, and then they cut through you. I think you've got to have that. I think that's where the best teams actually, you watch any best team, how many times you watch City and go, my God, look how open these look. Liverpool, when they were at their best, you go, God. And then sometimes it does happen where someone gets that day with it. And maybe this was what happened when we played Brighton, where everything just happened for us. And I think that's the mentality we've got to have on Saturdays. Like, you've got to give these a little bit. Give them a little bit, because they're not good. I've seen this happen to us, by the way, where teams come to us and go, you have the ball, because you will give it back to us. So that will be an interesting part of it, how Sean Dyche sets us up.
Well, we've got to be fully committed to it, isn't it? That's the thing. Like you just said, this can't be like, oh yeah, we will be defensive and that, but like, like, not all of us, because we want to have a bit of the ball as well.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. We'll have the ball from them giving us the ball.
Yeah.
If it works.
If
everyone's switched on.
Yeah, you've got to buy into that. Let's have a little look at Wolves' team from their last game against Manchester United. So obviously, very 4-4-2 heavy. You look at the front two, and there's not loads of goals in there. I think Costa only scored his first goal recently. Neves and Nunes, we know, are good players. But again, I looked at that the other day, Kilman and Dawson, and I just thought, if we are playing on the counter attack, we should be able to get through that. And obviously, listen, we're sitting here and we don't know what the situation is with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We don't know at this stage where we are, but that's obviously going to be a major part of it, isn't it? Whether Dominic Calvert-Lewin's fit or not.
That's massive. I think, I don't want to say we'll live and die on that, but look how much better off we are for having them in the team.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that extreme, because we could, we've had performances without him, but he makes us so much better having him in the team, and for counter-attacking, because he brings the ball down so much sharper than Maupay does, because it sticks to him better than it would do to Sims, because he's not as experienced, he doesn't have that. I just think it gives us such a better outlet as well, and then you can attack better through defending better, because you've got a player you can get the ball to comfortably and he can keep it, and that just makes counter-attacking so much easier. Yeah.
He works centre-backs. It's such an important trait. We've seen that. We've seen it while he was on at City. We've seen it against Leicester, by winning the penalty, never, getting between two centre-backs. And what he did in that first half against Brighton, he was absolutely fantastic. And he works players, and then centre-backs then, They don't know what to do for the best, so they start following people round. And while they're following people round, it creates that space for someone like the Corey, which we saw in the Brighton game. Because centre backs, by their very nature, listen, the top ones at the moment are unbelievable in their, how fast they are and their ability. But you've still got a lot of bang average centre backs who, all right, they're decent in the air and they can smell the danger a little bit. But what they don't want to do is get in a foot race because they just simply won't have the pace against someone like Dom, and they don't have the ability to, and that's where you can draw those little fouls out of them, or you can work them, and then you get that situation where one might be told to mark them, and then good centre forwards will start working the other one then, and that means both of them getting moved around. And once you start moving them around, centre backs hate that. Seen that with Michael Keane recently. He's one and a massive example of like a centre back who hates being moved around, and we saw it against Leicester the amount of times he turned his back. Once you turn your back as a centre back, you're gone, you're done, because that gives that split second. And I just don't think we've got anyone like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think it's been proven in the last few games. There's just nobody like him. And again, that falls on the football club. Not going to point fingers and go, well, that Mopai should... But that's not Mopai. It's not. And the only other option is a young kid. And then maybe you've got a Damari Gray who's got the pace and maybe can start probing the areas behind the centre-backs where they don't want to go also. But then that relies on him making good runs and the likes of Alex Iwobi finding them. So... For me, I think we've got to get Dom into this game, no matter what. I think if he fit and he can get round and he'll go, I can give you an hour, then you've got to, there's 2 games left. Unless he's like, can't move, I just think we're in a position now where you've just got to go, you can have a rest all summer. This is too big.
No, and we've spoke a lot before in the past about Calvert-Lewin's being rushed back. He's been mismanaged, and that is true if it's the middle of the season. But right now, there's no benefit to keeping him wrapped in cotton wool. The season's over in a week's time.
Let's hope it is. You know what I mean? Let's hope it is. Let's hope that's what they were doing last week. Calculated guess. Listen, if the manager decided a 2-0 against Manchester City, that it was
he weren't coming back.
Listen, by the way, I have no issue with that. A 2-0 down at half time. I have no issue with against Man City. I have no issue with the manager going, see, our star player that I need for those last 2 games, come and sit down, mate. Yeah. You are not even attempting. Yeah. Because it's Man City. They are one of the best clubs in the world. You can sit there and go, it's a disgrace we give that game up.
It was
already give up. So let's just have a little look at Wolves' big man. Neves, there he is. Games 33, a goal, 6 assists, 1. He's a top player, and there's a lot of talk about him leaving Wolves as well. I think he could play for a top side. He's got so much ability, and it is, you mentioned it before, it's those moments. He's the kind of player who can create a moment in a game, and you think sometimes you've got control of a game. And then some good players, can just create that little moment where you're like, where did that come from? And it just changes the whole pattern of a game.
Well, we can play well for extended periods and defend well and not let them have chances. But Ruben Neves is the type of player where if he gets a half chance to do something, whether that's a shot from distance or to play a brilliant ball in behind from a tight angle, he is capable of doing that. And that's why I keep mentioning being switched on.
Yeah.
Denying those moments, recognising that any time he is on the ball, that can result in danger for us.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean, every time he's got the ball at his feet, sprint at him.
Listen, he's part of the team. Can't really single him out. But what I do think is, let's just look at our team from last week. What I do think is like, that means that like the likes of someone like Mason Holgate can't play in a position like left back. You have to either bring... if Mikalenko's available, great. If he's not, I'd be tempted. I mean, if it wasn't Wolves, I'd be tempted to go 3 at the back and bring Cody back. But of course, Cody can't play. See, the thing is, I'd be more tempted to play Dwight McNeil at left back than I would anybody else just filling in there. I really would, because the kid understands playing on the left-hand side and is had to get back and defend so much. And I think we've got someone like the Damari Gray, you could maybe put in front of him, or even a Iwobi and put Gray on the other side. you have to have for players like that, players who understand what they're up against. And what we saw on Sunday with Mason Holgate, even though he's a centre back, and people think, well, he's a defender, he should be able to do that. Playing as full back on the side that you don't favour when you haven't played loads of games of football and you are up against Mahrez and Walker continuing to make that run, it's not easy. And I think you've got to look at the situation and go, you can't just throw a player in there and go do a job for us.
No, because defending at left back isn't the same as defending at centre back. People think being a full back just means, okay, so what you're doing when you're defending is you've got a winger running at you and it's one-on-one. That's just a scenario that happens and that's it. It's not that. Especially against Man City with their ability on the ball, the passing angles they create. That's not how it works. And you know, I don't blame Dyche for putting him in because we didn't. Michalenko weren't fit, and you know, obviously Vinagre is just a.
Well, he's injured as well, isn't he?
Yeah. And you know, no other option. So like, I understand it, but it didn't work. And you know, I'd never thought I'd be in a position where I'm praying for Michalenko to be available. But I think he's another one we could really benefit from having in the team.
Yeah,
just off that awareness.
It's balanced though, isn't it? And he can defend, and when you're playing counter-attack football, sometimes you need that defensive stability to allow the players to all just get on with the jobs. And I think the problem with the last game is the City game is maybe if Michalenko had been injured early in the week, they could have trained and worked in a 3 and had Cody in there. But because it happened in the last session and everything's already set out and all the team instructions and
it's got to find the best fit.
You are literally just going, well, what am I going to do? And he thought Mason Holgate could do the job, and he sadly couldn't. He just couldn't because he was up against world class players. Like the manager might look at this week and go, well, he's not up against those world class players like he was up against world class players last week. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think as well another player I'd be worried about, even though he doesn't start every week, is Adama Traore. If he brings him off the bench, you know, he is what he is. He's very not well rounded, put it that way.
Well, he is in the bicep area.
Oh yeah, physically he's very round in a good way. But I think he's another player that you can't switch off against because you need to time your runs perfectly because you need to set off before he does. Yeah. And he's another player where you can't wait for him to do something and then react and think, oh God, he's going, I better go as well because he's already passed you.
Yeah, that. So that would be a worry. Alex Iwobi does have a habit of doing that, by the way, of going, oh, is he gone? Oh, I better go then.
Yeah, I should probably get going, shouldn't I?
Rather than being switched onto it. But listen, it's a big game, a big game that Everton have got to get something out of. And you know, even if it's I mean, we're all desperate for a win. If we get a point and other results go our way and it keeps us in control for next week, then we obviously won't know that till the weekend's finished. So that's more agonising over the Saturday, the Sunday, and the Monday. So, but then I think a lot of people will be doing is agonising it anyway. It most likely will be going down to the last day, you'd imagine, which is going to make next week just absolutely horrendous. Yeah, there you go. If you go in the game, there's been an instruction put out for everyone to get in there at 2 and everyone to wear blue. They want to make the atmosphere at the game unbelievable. So, do with that information what you want. There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on this one. Big thanks for Jack joining us. Give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. We want more great videos, live, daily, exclusive videos. Join us over on Toffee TV Premier. The link is in the description and it's coming up on the screen in a moment. See you later.